Project Site Survey, creating a predictive survey. By the time we're done here, you will be able to create a predictive survey in wireless analysis software. Before we dive right into it, we want to define what is a predictive survey. Well, think about the word predictive. It's a guess, a prediction as to what the wireless coverage might look like based on where you place wireless access points. There are all kinds of different software out there, and I'm going to tell you about them in just a second, that will allow you to upload a floor plan to it, draw in the walls of where all the different dry walls are, the brick walls on the outside, and any other obstructions that you might know exist at that location. For instance, a mechanical room surrounded by all kinds of metal boxes that it creates a vortex of wireless signal. The more information that you can feed into that wireless software, the better results you'll get. In this case, it chose to put a wireless access point right here, right here, right here. Now I want to stop right there because you'll notice right next to it, hey, let me erase my annotations here. You'll see right next to it, it actually chooses what channels that you should select. So for instance, this one is the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. It says use channel 6, whereas this one, turn it off completely so you don't have any kind of signal overlap. Then over here, use channel 11 because that should give you enough signal on the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum to cover both of those spots. Now, below, you see the 5 gigahertz spectrum. This is 5, this is 5. You can see it's saying choose channel 157, choose channel 44, choose channel 149, all non-overlapping channels. And these are 40 megahertz channels, meaning they're 40 megahertz wide. Doing something like this before you go to a site will allow you to say, okay, here's where I think the best placement is. Now, a predictive model isn't perfect. That's why we always combine this with what I did in the previous video, which is what I call a quick and dirty survey, walking around, seeing if there's obstructions, things that predictive modeling software wouldn't pick up on. The one problem with wireless site survey software is it is expensive. Ekahau that you can see right here is kind of the name in the industry. Air Magnet is the, I would call them the, oh yeah, meaning you see most blog posts about wireless site survey software. They're like, oh, use Ekahau, da da da. Oh yeah, and there's Air Magnet as well. There are people that have used Air Magnet and swear by it. Personally, I've only used Ekahau, but Air Magnet looks pretty good. It looks almost like the same software, like a clone of a lot of this. Now, keep in mind, when you see $3,000 to $10,000, this isn't just to do predictive surveys. It does passive surveys and active surveys, meaning you attach a whole glob of wireless network cards that comes with this package to your laptop and actually walk the premises, and it can detect your true coverage. It can detect your actual throughput. It can detect RF interference, and it will generate a big report for you when it's all said and done so that you can say, oh, okay, well, this is where the problems are, and I need to move this wireless access point. So predictive surveys is just one element of what this does. Over here, you can see VisiWave and NetSpot. This is one that I actually stumbled on. It looks like it was created for home users, meaning to survey their house at first, and it just kind of evolved into the business world. They have a free version. Again, this is one I haven't tried, but by golly, for $50, if you can get a decent piece of software for $50 that does some kind of predictive surveys, do it. So what I'm planning to do here is to take that same floor plan that we used when we did our quick and dirty survey walking the premises of that church/school and upload it into the planning software. I'm using Ekahau site survey software. I want to generate the results and then compare it to our gut level analysis from before. All right, well, this is Ekahau site survey. I literally just opened it to a blank slate. And I'm going to close this side of the program because we're not going to need those options here. I want you to notice, first of all, that there's two major tabs to Ekahau. You'll see the planning tab and the survey tab. The planning tab is going to be what we're doing right now. And this is where we literally upload a floor plan, set the scale, set where all the obstacles are, that is the walls, and then it will predict and plan where the wireless access points go. I want to see what this looks like compared to our gut level analysis that I did in the previous nugget where we walked the building and said, I think about right there, I think about right there. Let's see how accurate we are, right? From there, you can also do a survey tab. And this is where you upload the floor plan, same kind of thing, set the scale, and you literally walk the building. And you can do it in one of two ways. You can do a continuous survey where it literally measures as you walk. You just click the mouse to let it know where you're walking, and it reflects the wireless signal from there. And a stop and go survey. That's where you'll do a measurement, walk 50 feet, do another measurement, walk 50 feet, do another measurement, and it kind of it glues it all together. Really, the continuous survey is better, but we're not even doing that here. Right now, we're just doing the planning. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the floor plan. And the way that I do that is by clicking the plus sign next to the maps. Now, Cool thing here is that you can have multiple maps. You can upload different perspectives on this. Maybe the map is too big to fit in one screen, so you want to do sections of the building. You want to do different floors. Maybe you want to do different perspectives on the same map. You can actually just add a whole drop down of maps as you go. And you notice right up front it's saying, hey, whoa, don't do anything until you set the scale. Because from Ekahau's perspective, all it knows is there's a JPEG image it's displaying. It doesn't know, how many pixels equal what number of feet or meters in there. Now, the beauty is this floor plan right on it, if I zoom in over here on the right-hand side, shows one section right here being 13 foot, 1 inch. So I'm going to move over here to this little ruler, which sets the scale. I'm going to click and drag right there and say that 71 pixels, meters. Why can't the world be, like the US has to go metric on me? So I'm going to go to Google and let's go at Google 13 feet to, obviously a common Google search, 13 feet to meters. So we've got 13 feet. So I'm just going to round up. We'll say 13 foot, 1 inch is 4 meters. Sound good? I'm going to go down here and say that scale is 4 meters, not 40, 4. Hit the enter key. Okay, now we've got our scale set. We can zoom back out here. The next thing that we want to do is put in the walls. So this is the wall tool because the walls obviously impact your wireless signal in a huge way. And you can see you've got your wall selector showing all the different types of walls that are there and what is the average loss when you go through this type of wall. You can see, for instance, going through a steel door is a 13 dB loss, whereas just going through, say, a drywall is about a 3 dB loss. So we know that this building, just from walking around it, is completely brick on the outside. So we can just click and go. It's actually kind of fun. You don't have to sit and do every single doorway as a gap and represent all that. It's much faster if you just surround the outline with brick. I'm getting into my scale down here, so let me zoom out. It's just like tracing a picture when you were a kid. Now again, we see these little jet outs right there in the building, these little peaks that go along. We don't have to measure each one of those because you can imagine that's only a few feet, and whatever wireless access point recommendations it's going to give you is going to cover those feet of little jet outs, and those are probably like where ferns go. People aren't going to sit there. Surround it right there, and good. Now we go to the drywall. Ooh, actually, I just thought of, before we do the drywall, there was in the middle of that building, that was right here, that brick wall that actually ran all the way down. So let me do this, because there is a gap in the hallway right there. It ran all the way down to right there, and then right there. Now we can move over to the drywall. And again, like I said, this is kind of fun. You just kind of trace all the walls inside of here because it goes beyond Ekahau's thought that this is just a JPEG image. We're making it something real. And just so you know, by the way, right click stops your drawing tool, left click starts it again. Good, there we go. Do you see anything that I missed on there? Now, I do want to mention that I did just go right over those doors with drywall because most of the time they're going to be closed. There are people that will go in and set, well, that's a hollow wood door, that's a steel fire exit door, all those kind of things. And if you want to be insanely accurate, yeah, actually that would be the best way to go. However, what you'll find as you use this tool more and more is, setting every single one of the doors while it makes it look really glossy. Ooh, I just saw one right there. Missed that wall. Bing. Well, it makes it really glossy, and they're like, oh yeah, I got doors in my picture. It's not worth it. So we've got our map right there. Now, one of the drawbacks of this version of Ekahau, there's newer versions since the one that I'm using right now, is it only lets you set one coverage area. Here's what I'm gonna do before I do anything else. I'm gonna save this as evident life. Let's just say bear. Right, so we've got that with all the walls in case we want to open that up, if we mess something up going down the road. So from there, what I'm going to do is set my coverage area, and this is going to be where we tell Ekahau this is where we want wireless coverage. Now, in the newer versions of Ekahau, this is what I was going to say. They let you set multiple coverage areas for different sections, and that's great because you can say, well, for instance, in the sanctuary over there with all those seats, we're going to have some heavy wireless coverage needed. Whereas in the lobby, maybe not so much. In this version of Ekahau, what I really should do is break this into multiple maps, meaning I would do one map for just the sanctuary and set specific requirements for that, then do another map for the other areas. But for now, I'm just going to group it all as one. So I'll click here. I went outside of my screen, so I'll go up a little bit. See, what I'm doing is I'm just drawing in where I want wireless coverage to exist. Right click and done. It now knows where we're trying to get wireless coverage. And then from there, we can use this auto planner. Now it's going to say, well, what kind of coverage do you want? And you can say, well, I want, and you've got all of these preset defaults. Well, I just want basic connectivity, or I want email and web only, or maybe I want high speed, or I want voice, I want voice traffic. And what that does is say, okay, well, I'm going to say that we, have negative 70 dBm. Now, this is designing for coverage, which is actually an old style design, meaning as long as there's Wi-Fi, then we're happy. What we really want to do nowadays is design for capacity. And that's where we get to say, well, here's how many devices are going to be sucking up bandwidth. And you also want to think ahead. I mean, think of where this place is right now, and then think maybe 3 to 5 years ahead, because you're not going to want to replace your WAPs or redo your design just because you weren't thinking that, oh yeah, this site will have double the users in 3 years. So I'd say, well, concurrently, I could see in this building, actually, that's a really good estimate. Maybe there's 50 802.11 AC laptops sitting online. Now, you can set peak hour usage and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that. Now, this is a large group, so I'm going to say maybe there would be 250 smartphones online. And maybe, let's go ahead and throw in a few tablets, just to say 20 tablets in any one time, check-in stations, things like that. It's actually a little low, but we'll go with that. I'll close this down, and that's all listed in there. And then it asks a big question down here. What access point are you using, and what frequency band are you optimizing your coverage for? I'm going to say 5 gigahertz all the way, and I'm going to use this drop down to say I want to use my Ubiquity Unify access points that I've been using through this series. Now, one of the problems with letting the maintenance expire on your survey software is it doesn't get updated with the newest and latest and greatest wireless access points. So you might have a database of old equipment, which really does you no good. I will say the maintenance for these things can get pricey, anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a year just to get support and all the new versions. But if you're serious about wireless, definitely well worth it. From there, I'm going to hit the Create Plan button. It goes through its thinking, and boom, we have a plan. It also may not realize that we're optimizing wireless coverage for the bathroom right now because it doesn't know that's the bathroom. It's just thinking this will meet the capacity and coverage requirements that you outlined for me. Now it's up to us to move stuff around. Move that up a little bit. I'm going to move this wireless access point right here. Now the cool thing is it's going to adjust all the coverage based on where that WAP is located. This one, I like that there. We're going to keep that one right there because it provides solid coverage for that large room, as well as these rooms behind it that we didn't even walk into. This one really troubles me because I'm really not about coverage for the bathroom as a primary objective. I would probably move that one right into this room. And just because of the density requirements, I think I'm going to move this guy right here. And then click on this right here to add another wireless access point right here. Now you'll notice that it's not automatically adjusting the channels. This is a channel overlap situation. So I'm not even looking at the channels. By the way, this is 802.11b or the 2.4 gigahertz channel. This is 802.11a and N and AC, which is the 5 gigahertz spectrum. And when we used the auto planner, it went in and said, okay, these are the channels that you should use so that you don't have any overlap. So now we'd have to manually adjust it, or we could go to this auto channel planner. Click on that, let it know what channels are valid to use, and you can see the 2.4, we're just using that 1, 6, and 11. On the 5 gigahertz, these are the bands that we're choosing. Should be safe. Let's create the plan. There we go. Move the channels around a little bit just to save any overlap. So this is our site survey software suggestion. Let's compare this to what we got from our quick and dirty survey in the last video. Jeremy's quick and dirty survey versus the Ekahau predictive survey. What do we see? Well, I would say Ekahau is suggesting that I'm making people glow with the radiation from wireless access points in my model because they suggested a lot less. Keep in mind that I manually added this one to the sanctuary because my version of Ekahau doesn't allow me to select different capacities, and I also dragged this one out of the bathroom up here into the sitting room above. What am I not seeing? Well, first off, they're suggesting that I don't put a wireless access point in that office cubicle area. Based on that shading, it looks like they're saying this should have sufficient coverage from the bleed over of these two access points on either side. It's also not suggesting a wireless access point in the lobby, And based on my manual tweak, we don't need that third wireless access point in the sanctuary. Now, I've stared at these two for a little while. I actually paused my talking and just kind of stared for a while. And I think I fully agree with what Ekahau is saying here. Being that there's only one drywall between the lobby and this wireless access point, that should totally cover this area. And that's just more of a migrating mob of people that are coming in and out of the building. Same thing here. Perhaps we can get by with 2 wireless access points in the sanctuary. At least it's worth testing. Meaning, I would rather do half the work and then say, oh, we still need to add one more there after we do an active survey that I'm going to show you a little bit later, than it would be to increase the project cost by adding some wireless access points that perhaps we don't need. So yeah, I'm thinking this is the model that we should move forward with. All in favor say aye? Aye. Well, I said at the beginning of this nugget that you will be able to create a predictive survey in wireless analysis software. So here's what I'd like you to do. Use Predictive Survey software to generate a plan for your home, your office, and any floor plan that you can get your hands on. Go to Google Images and type in building floor plan and import some of those. Remember, you can do this predictive survey without ever setting foot in the building. You just have to draw on the walls, put in your capacity requirements, and boom, it generates the plan and puts the wireless access points in place, and you can practice moving them around. I want you to do it enough that you're comfortable doing it by hand. And that's what I said, is if the survey software is cost prohibitive, it's really expensive, then do this by hand. Get some floor plans and say, okay, well, based on what I saw Jeremy do, based on what I saw the software generate, I have a feeling this is kind of how I would design each one of these. Chances are pretty good you're not going to be that far off. Now you might be thinking to yourself, well, do I really need to invest in predictive survey software then? Remember, what I said is the predictive survey software is not just a predictive survey software. It is all about passive and active surveys where it can actually tell the real coverage, the real interference. That's what you want to invest in. Well, you've now seen the inner workings of predictive survey software. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.